Hey folks, and welcome into the Truck King YouTube channel. With me right here is the redesigned 2025 Ram Heavy Duty. And hopefully by now you've seen us towing and going off-road with this truck. If you haven't, those videos are already here on the channel. In this video, we have access to basically the whole Ram HD lineup. So I want to compare the trim levels and then really do a deep dive on the interiors. What's the difference from a base truck to a top trim truck? And we're even going to interview an interior designer and talk about what has changed in trucks over the last 2 decades. So all that's coming up right now. Make sure you stay tuned. Now there's a lot of changes that have arrived for the 2025 Ram Heavy Duty lineup, and like I mentioned, we've already done some heavy towing and some off-roading with this truck, with the Rebel and the Power Wagon and a limited 3500 dually. So if you're really interested in some of those mechanical differences, make sure you go watch those videos, because right now, I just want to dive in more to the trim levels and the appearance of these trucks, because those have changed too for 2025. Now the truck you're looking at right here is the Tradesman. So this is the base trim, but this one actually has the chrome appearance package, and pretty much the name speaks for itself, right? The whole front end is chromed out. You're getting the chrome grille, the chrome ram right there. Your wheels are chrome too, and you're getting a chrome rear bumper back there. And this is just one of those packages that they offer to take a base truck, but then give it a little bit more styling, a little bit more flair. Now the styling on every single Ram Heavy Duty has been updated for 2025, so why don't you just take a look at some of the different trucks available now and just let me know, what do you think about the styling on this updated Ram? And now we are behind the wheel of this truck, folks, and actually this one, as it's configured, is a bit of a rare build because we have the 6.4 liter Hemi V8 gas engine on a 3500 single rear wheel with the shorter bed. So yeah, this configuration is definitely a little bit rare, and that's something specifically that Ram tried to address with the new 2025 HDs, and that is there was a lot of combinations before and a lot of options that were sort of one-off options. So if you were looking for one very specific truck, odds are you were traveling to go get it. You were driving across the country or having it shipped because that one build that you really wanted, well, it wasn't anywhere local. So Ram did try to simplify its packages. This is something we've actually heard from most of the brands in the last couple of years. Simplification of packages also makes it easier for dealers to order these trucks because you just pick one package and it comes with so many things. So essentially what Ram has done is they have all of their trim levels, and then each trim has a level 1 package and a level 2 package. So it's pretty easy to wrap your head around. You know, you can either get a Bighorn level 1 or level 2, a Tradesman level 1 or 2. Now, once you get up into Laramie and Limited, there's also level 1 and then level 1 plus and then level 2. So yes, they did build in sort of a mid package, and some of them have a level 2 plus as well, just to really add everything in there. So there's still a little bit of complication, but for the most part, the way the trims are laid out and then the option packages are added is fairly simple, and I think this is a good and a bad thing for consumers. The good thing is that simplicity. You simply say, I know I want a Bighorn with all the features, check that level 2 equipment group, and it's a massive list of things that it's going to bring along, so you don't have to be going through and picking off options one by one. That's the good part. On the downside is very simply, these packages bring so many features, it might be some stuff that you don't want or don't need, but you end up paying for because it's all built into the package. So you really do have to look at each one of these packages and, decide which one is going to work for you. So now I'll talk about this truck. This is a Tradesman with the level 2 equipment group, And you can tell because we do have basically every feature that can be added to a Tradesman. Things like the larger 12-inch Uconnect touchscreen. Yeah, the base truck and the base touchscreen is still the 8.4-inch, and that is standard on Tradesman and on Bighorn. Once you get up to Rebel, Power Wagon, and above, the 12-inch comes standard, and then the 14-inch is available, and then on the limited and limited Longhorn, the 14-inch is standard. But yeah, that's one of the ways that you're going to be able to tell sort of which package you have is by what the infotainment screen looks like. And again, this is a Tradesman, so this is a base truck. You can call it a work truck. But honestly, these days, work trucks, they don't feel very basic anymore. There used to be a time when a work truck was, rubber floors and the most simple radio you can get. But now, yeah, like I said, I got a big touch screen. I have carpeted floors, a nice headliner, cloth seats, sure, but they're still fairly comfortable cloth seats, and I like that. We also do get the bench seat here. So if you still need to carry a big load of people out to a job site, you can get 3 across the front, which is nice. So I like the Tradesman here for the simplicity of it, but yeah, I don't feel like we're missing absolutely anything here. The one other thing I like to see in the Tradesman as compared to some of the more luxurious trucks is a little bit more utility built in, and to me, I think that's the bench seat, which I mentioned, but also all these little storage cubbies. So over there in front of the passenger, you just get this big storage shelf. Once you step up to a limited, that's a touch screen over there for your passenger, and it totally eats up all that space. So yeah, here in the Tradesman, you got a couple more spots to stash your stuff, even down here, sort of underneath the push button, where in those other trucks, you're getting all the 4-wheel drive controls. They've built in just a little cubby there. So we got a charge cord in there. You can toss whatever, nuts and bolts, change. And I think that is important in a Tradesman. So again, that stuff is all here as well. And then just looking at my gauge cluster, it's another way you're going to really differentiate from these models. In the top end trucks, that thing is fully digital. Here at the lower end, I still get quite a few physical gauges, which is nice, but a nice screen in between them too. So again, you don't feel like there's a massive gulf from this low trim right up to a top trim truck. But right now, not only do I want to look at these new trucks, I want to go look at one of the old trucks that Ram brought out to this event. And we're going to talk to a Ram interior designer about how truck interiors have changed, and then also just Ram's approach to this 2025 truck interior. So let's take a look at that right now. All right, John, well, we're here looking at all your brand new trucks today, but of course this caught my eye, the one old truck you guys brought out, this beautiful 2004 SRT10. Cool. So I think before we talk, totally about the new interior, let's just, rewind the clock a bit. Tell me sort of the thought process that went into this interior, and then I think the more important question is just, tell me, everything that has changed and why we've ended up where we're at with interiors, because obviously going from this to where we are now is a massive difference. Right?
I know it. I can't even remember the last time I've been in one of these
right,
04 trucks, right? And yeah, it is really a contrast when you sit in here after being in all the new trucks here, like how much things have changed from this time. Probably one of the biggest things is the technology, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
no big screens in here, right?
Yeah, this is old school, buttons and knobs. There's no screens, there's no, touch controls or anything like that. It's all mechanical analog interface.
Right. The other thing I noticed is like the lack of details. Like in the trucks today, your interiors, we're in the Longhorn. That thing is so gorgeous. The stitching and all those little attentions to detail.
Yeah.
This is just so much more plain. Like that thought process of let's just really, really get into the details just wasn't really there yet, right?
Yeah, this was from, it's amazing to think 21 years ago this was, and how much truck interiors have come so far from this. Like, this is literally like hard. Like, listen to that sound. It's got like an echo to it, where today, like this kind of level of truck, like a Power Wagon that we have with the X2 package, this would all be cut and sew, wrapped with live stitch. And dare you, if you knock on it, it's not going to make
Sound
that
like
crazy
that.
echoey sound too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not only like you're saying from kind of like the craftsmanship, the materials, like trucks have really gone upscale in a lot of ways, but also the quality level, right?
Sure.
Like even as we're sitting in here, you can kind of tell like it doesn't have like the sound deadening and everything like the new trucks have, or
Totally.
even, you know, like kind of the echoing you get from these kind of materials. So yeah, I mean, both in terms of the what you see and you look at, it's really evolved, but also in terms of like that refinement for quietness and comfort has really come a long way in that time.
Right. And would you say in 2004, like that wasn't as much of a care for a truck customer? Because that does feel like more of a modern thing, right? Where people
Yeah.
want that total comfort, luxury, but they also want it to be a truck.
Yeah, I think that was the time when trucks were still kind of evolving out of that, you know, traditional work truck and starting to become something like this,
Right.
you know, more about a lifestyle kind of choice. You know, this one, of course, the most extreme example,
Of
the
course.
SRT10 with the
Yeah.
Viper-based V10 engine.
Right.
I mean, this was really kind of like the beginnings of that, you know, pickup trucks moving into like, you know, you know, just being a work truck kind of thing, like fulfilling other roles and needs, you know, for the customer.
Yeah. Yeah, so the other thing we already talked about is again the lack of screens here, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the first thing that stands out in the new truck. So
Mm-hmm.
can you actually talk to me a bit about that? Sort of how do you find the balance between screen and physical buttons and knobs? Because we
Yeah,
know that when you
yeah,
get rid of the buttons and knobs, consumers are not happy. And on the flip side, we want to have nice screens too. So how do you strike that balance?
I know. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of, you know, thoughtful consideration. Like, and arguably everyone's going to have a different opinion on it,
Of
right?
course.
But I think with Ram, we've done a really good job of kind of finding that right balance of having, you know, the right amount of physical controls, you know, with buttons and knobs. Like on our 12-inch and 14.5-inch touchscreen radios, you'll still see it's got all of the redundant manual physical buttons for the HVAC alongside the screen.
Right.
And then even for the radio, you've got the knobs for volume, power, tune seek, all that kind of thing. And while this truck has, you know, all the disc changer buttons and, you know, scan and mode, on the new trucks, even without the screen, we've got the buttons on the back of the steering wheel,
Right.
which, by the way, this one has
I
too, and I'm
noticed
just
that too.
noticing that as we're
Yeah, that's
talking.
super cool that it
But
was here in 2004.
but the cool thing about it is you can, you know, still do those functions without the touchscreen,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And so it's also important to remember too, you know, one of the big things that's changed in the time, you know, since these trucks is there's so much more variety of options and configurations available now
Sure.
that it's important to remember that we do still have the smaller screen radio, the 8.4-inch radio screen, and it basically has like the HVAC controls are all fully, you know, buttons and knobs kind of thing. You can control everything just like you can on this
Right.
kind of thing.
Right. So yeah, that's I don't envy you guys trying to strike that balance, but it
Yeah.
definitely does feel balanced in these trucks. I especially like the little rubber wrap kind of toggle switches underneath the 12-inch
Yeah,
screen. It
yeah.
just that tactile feel is nice to have sometimes, right?
Well, and that's an important thing about a pickup truck, right? And how we design the buttons and knobs, and those are a perfect example. You know, the toggles, you know, sometimes we'll refer to them as like the piano keys
Sure.
because of the way they're arranged. And it's about giving a pickup truck experience. You know, it we could have just done them as like this had just very basic rounded off buttons, you know, generic.
Of course.
But that is meant to be more about having a truck like experience that's more engaging, you know, and more involved than just a basic button.
Sure. Yeah, and it does feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it for me, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Cool. Thank you.
Now, talking interiors, we have to look at the back seat, and this is a special back seat because this is the mega cab configuration of the HD. So the first thing I'll show you is the rear legroom number right here. I don't know what it is because frankly in these trucks you don't need to know what it is. There's so much space. Look how much legroom I have. I can stretch out up here. My knees are nowhere close to that seat. Headroom, It's right there, but it's still fine even for me, and I stand at 6'2". So yes, every full-size adult and larger than full-size adult is gonna fit fine back here. But here's the real trick of the Mega Cab. The seats recline, and they recline quite a bit. So if you're trying to catch a nap in the back after a long day, yeah, this has gotta be the most comfortable second row, probably in any truck on the market. Plus in this Limited, it's this nice soft leather too, so the seat itself is nice and comfortable. Yeah, this is a absolutely mammoth back seat here in the Mega Cab. And do you want to know how you know it's a Mega Cab? This right here, look at all this space behind the rear door. You're not going to see that on most pickups. And now folks, here we are driving in this Limited Longhorn. So another change that arrived for the trim level lineup is that Limited and Longhorn are now right on par with each other. Essentially now you're not choosing, which one's more expensive or less. You're just choosing, do I want the Western themed cowboy interior, or do I want the Limited, which has more of the pinstripe suit, business, serious interior? If you're asking me, my opinion is that this Longhorn is the nicest interior in any Ram heavy-duty pickup truck. Now, getting out of that base truck and then getting into this one, I just want to talk about the features that jump out to me right away as being different. And a lot of it does have to do with technology. So yes, it's the 14-inch screen here rather than the 12-inch, although that's not even really that big of a difference. On the 14-inch screen, there's less knobs and physical buttons, and there's more digital buttons down here near the bottom of the screen that don't exist on the 12-inch. But for the most part, yeah, just at a quick glance, the screens seem very similar. But the other things that jump out, the rear camera mirror is definitely one of them. That's here in our Limited Longhorn, and it's nice to have for everyday driving, but it's especially nice to have when you're towing a trailer with one of these trucks. And then the other thing I noticed right away is this entire center console area. So we have 2 wireless phone chargers down there, which is awesome. So you and your passenger can chuck your phone in there. And then this whole thing down here is customizable. So you can slide your cup holders up or back. You can open up and drop stuff down in there. These little guys open up too. So yeah, I just like how customizable this is, and depending on what you're tossing in there, you can make it work for you. And then just look how deep it is as well. It's massively deep, so love having that. And then finally, the other thing that kind of jumps out right away is the fully digital gauge cluster up here. And I think one of the big advantages going fully digital is how customizable this screen is, because you can change the information in each one of the corners. You can change even things like, do I want my odometer to give me a decimal place or not? So you can really get specific with the changes that you can do. I don't necessarily want to say I prefer one over the other. They both do deliver the information you want. If you're that old school truck guy, you probably like your physical gauges. If you don't mind losing them, well, you get the screen. It still delivers all your information. Plus, you can really set it up to give you exactly what you want. So those are just some of the actual physical differences and the content differences. But then the other big difference is the materials and just how nice it is in here. So you're getting all the bronze accents, you're getting the wood, and this is real wood. And there's actually a brand over in front of the passenger. That is a real brand. It's actually burned into the wood. It's not just stamped on there or painted on there. So they were telling me that yes, at the factory the wood comes out of, they had to install this special super hot brand to brand the wood. And then the stitching on the steering wheel, again, the wood accents down here too. It's just absolutely gorgeous. You're getting this hammered metal around your stack here and down here by my knees. So that's really where this truck sets itself apart, is in all of those little details. And when you hop in and you look around, yeah, this interior feels quite a bit more premium than that basic interior. But of course, you're also going to be paying for it, no doubt. So I think at this point in the video, we might as well throw up some truck prices for you so you can understand sort of the difference between going for that Tradesman or stepping up to the top of the lineup here. Well folks, that is it for this video. Now hopefully you watched all of our videos on the 2025 Ram HD lineup, because we did get a chance to really explore these trucks, and it was a special treat to be able to sit in that 2004 SRT10 and just feel how much trucks have changed, especially when it comes to interior design. Looking at that dashboard to this dashboard, can't even really compare them. And of course, a lot of that has to do with just massive leaps in technology, but also the attention to detail that goes into these trucks now is astounding, and it makes them feel just as luxurious as any other vehicle on the market. So you no longer have to go, I'm getting a truck, therefore it's going to be basic. No, not at all. These days you can get a truck and you can get an unbelievable luxury interior like you're going to find here in a Longhorn. So yeah, folks, that's the end of this one. Now, please drop into the comments. Let me know what you think of the updated interior here, the interior differences. What do you think of the Longhorn versus the Tradesman? And of course, what do you think of the SRT10? And as always, while you're down below leaving us that comment, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of the Truck King channel, and then come right back here to see what we're testing next. See ya.